Jack Smith and his thugs are now exposed. We have the Vindictive and Selective prosecution motion, now unsealed, that we are going to get into today. Been waiting to take a look at this one because it is the argument from the defense that Jack Smith is targeting Trump. And they walk us through a bunch of other examples when Hillary Clinton had her classified documents and when many others had different standards applied to them. Why is Trump being treated differently? Of course, we know it's Trump. And the big news that they're very upset about is that the trial is also being vacated. Doesn't look like it's going to happen this year. So Jake Tapper and the CNN crew, very unhappy about that. We'll see what Alina Habba says as we wrap up this segment. But first, let's get into this filing. This is recently unsealed. We're excited to dig into it. You can see it is President Trump's motion to dismiss the entire indictment in Florida based on selective and vindictive prosecution. We weren't able to see this one for quite some time, and now it is out. So here's what the defense says. All right, Judge Cannon, they say we're here, and unfortunately we have to bring this to your attention, but Jack Smith's a vindictive hack, says with one exception, there is no record of the DOJ ever prosecuting a former president or a vice president for mishandling classified documents from his own administration. Never. That's from the Hur report, Robert Hur, Joe Biden. Now, the exception, as we know, is President Trump. Dun, dun, dun. Now, the basis is what? His politics, as we know, and his status as Biden's chief political rival. And thus, this case reflects the type of selective and vindictive prosecution that cannot be allowed. And so this entire indictment must be dismissed. They say, Your Honor, American history is chock full of examples of involving alleged mishandling of classified documents. And those did not result in the type of politically motivated charges that are being brought here. Let's walk through a couple of these examples. Here, Joe Biden. They say after Biden concluded his term as VP in 2017, boxes containing classified documents, vice presidential records, and other items were stored in 3 different locations around D.C. There was an office near his White House. There was one in Chinatown and the Penn Biden Center. Now, the boxes at the Penn Biden Center were not even in a locked closet, and they remained accessible to Penn Biden employees as well as potentially others with access to the office space. Wow, sounds really dangerous and criminal. Hopefully he got arrested for this. Let's see what happened. On May 24th, the same month, that DOJ issued a grand jury subpoena to Trump's office. White House counsel Dana Remus, while they're investigating Trump, the White House, Dana Remus instructed Kathy Chung, Biden's former executive assistant, to go get the boxes from the Penn Biden Center. They're like, oh crap, we're prosecuting Trump. Do we have any classified documents anywhere? Like, we better go get them. If they find those as we're prosecuting Trump, that's going to be bad. You see how sick these people are? They are investigating their opponents while they're cleaning up their own crap. On June 28th, Miss Chung packed 13 boxes at the Penn Biden Center, and there would later be found to have contained classified materials. Chung emailed Remus, yes, 13 boxes, they said. There are clearly marked boxes with correspondence throughout the 4 years. Oops. On October 13th, Ms. Chung sent text messages to one of Biden's personal attorneys, indicated the 13 boxes were at the Penn Biden Center, and Dana Remus went there in June, but decided it was too much to take. Wow. So she's now floating around there. Oh, I can't fit all that in my car. It's crazy. The attorney responded to another lawyer for Biden who was in Boston, and he begun to sort through the boxes. So some other lawyer, probably doesn't have any classified material credentials at all, Remus decided to ship the material that could be relevant to future congressional inquiries to someone in Boston. How'd that happen? In early November, then, Biden's personal attorneys turned over classified documents. They said, we discovered this. Weird. At one of Biden's personal offices. Okay. But the reason I think this was all under seal is because this is kind of confidential interactions. So they knew in June that they had this. They told us about it in November. Okay. They covered it up for months. According to the Hur report, Biden's attorneys found a manila envelope marked eyes only for VP that contained documents with classification markings. That's from the Hur report. The attorney contacted the White House counsel's office, which notified NARA's general counsel Gary Stern. NARA determined that the boxes from the Penn Biden Center included 9 documents with classification markings on it, 44 pages in total. FBI said, yep, 10 classified or potentially classified documents. So then, on January 12th, Biden disclosed that private lawyers had located another classified document in Delaware at his garage. Same day, Attorney General appointed Mr. Hur as special counsel. 2 days later, the White House office disclosed that 5 additional documents had come from one of Biden's, quote, Delaware residences. This dude has documents all over the place. Forgotten about him and was never the president at the time. On January 20th, the FBI seized additional classified documents during a consensual search of Biden's home in Delaware. Now, whereas NARA issued a public statement about the illegal Mar-a-Lago raid, NARA General Counsel Gary Stern acknowledged during an interview later, they come out, I can't, we got our library books back. They're all excited about it. They acknowledged in January 2023, the same dude, that someone outside of of NARA had blocked the NARA's release of a public statement about Biden. So they rant about Trump, but they shut their mouths about Biden. Now, in January of 23, the FBI found roughly a dozen marked classified documents that are currently classified at the secret level in Biden's garage in his home in Delaware. And between January and February, the FBI also found 7 more documents. They retrieved a State Department cable from 1987. Apparently, it was declassified. The FBI identified 5 additional marked classified documents during a search at the library. They found marked classified documents in 3 notebooks, 2 binders, a freestanding document at his home in Delaware. And also, Biden talked to this guy, Mark Zwanitzer, a ghostwriter. He talked about the contents of notebooks that contained top secret level classified materials. He gave dozens of hours of interviews. He gave National Security Council information. He gave them notebook entries related to CIA briefings, DOD briefings, other meetings and briefings with other foreign policy officials. And he just said, oh, I just found all this classified stuff downstairs, is when he explained it to this ghostwriter. No charges. In 2023, Zwanitzer also deleted the digital audio recordings with Biden. He covering up and deleting the evidence. During a subsequent interview, Zwanitzer also told Mr. Hur that he knew that there was an investigation going on when he deleted the recordings, and he continued, I'm not going to say how much of the percentage it was of my motivation. So did somebody else tell him to delete those recordings? Like, is it 50-50? Yeah, I kind of want to delete them, and so does the Biden camp. So Joe Biden, right? Did he get charged? No, he didn't. How about Mike Pence? On January 18, 2023, Mike Pence also disclosed some of this. He says, we found a small number of classified markings inadvertently boxed and sent to the personal home of him. Wonder if that happened with Trump. Now, Pence had undertaken a search of those records, and the following day, the DOJ bypassed the standard procedures under the Presidential Records Act. They requested direct possession of the documents. They sent FBI agents to Indiana to go get them late at night. January 20th, Pence's counsel agreed to turn over 4 additional boxes containing administration papers, in which a small number of the papers had the markings. Also, FBI investigated him. No charges for Mike Pence. How about Clinton? Bill, as discussed in the Judicial Watch litigation, they brought the Clinton sock drawer case. Remember that? President Clinton worked with a historian called Taylor Branch on a, quote, secret project to record Clinton's observations. Clinton relied on the tapes for his autobiography. He wrote a book called My Life, and he talked about the Clinton tapes. Now, the tapes obviously contained classified information, but Clinton had been permitted to maintain them because they were a unique verbatim record under his control. The court said that. They said they're his records. Branch's published account confirms the tape contained classified information that they say are about military operations, intelligence assessments, and so on. Here's a sampling. During a 1996 meeting, Clinton explained, with support only from England, they attacked Iraq's capability. Here's another conversation. He said our experts were convinced something about bin Laden. In 2000, he talked about the port of Aden, Yemen. Bin Laden, again, the instigator, right? All of this stuff talking about the North Korea missile program. Very secret, sensitive military information at the time. Now, as discussed in more detail, despite all of this, the DOJ or NARA, they never even went to try to get the tapes. Never even cared. There was no criminal investigation. There was no prosecution. The only person who tried to go get those materials was Judicial Watch and Tom Fitton. Everybody else, DOJ's like, whatever, dude. Clinton's amazing. Shut up. Same thing with Hillary. Hillary Clinton was the Secretary of State between January and February 2013. The House committee investigating the terrorist attack on the CIA annex in Libya killed 4 Americans. Now, while preparing to respond to the inquiry, the State Department learned that Clinton used a personal email account and 3 servers stored at her private residence to conduct her official business. The first server was abandoned in March 2009, and they just, I guess, probably threw it in the trash, along with other records and data. It was discarded. Between March 09 and June 2013, the second server was used to store data related to Secretary Clinton and other State Department officials for official business. Private email. Like thousands of boxes. They're upset like Trump, couple dozen boxes. No concern at all that she had digital boxes. In December 2013, at Secretary Clinton's direction, a private vendor migrated the email accounts to a 3rd server and removed Microsoft Exchange. This process involved the use of a laptop and a thumb drive to transfer the data, and then Secretary Clinton instructed the vendors to wipe, and they were never recovered the data. Now, by the time the FBI got access to the second server, the second records and the data, they were stored in the server's unallocated space, and the location was consistent with data deletion. FBI found the emails on the second server were often fragmented and difficult to reconstruct because they were deleted. The handling of the data from the 3rd server reflects even more astonishing levels of obstruction and destruction. In December 2014, Clinton provided the State Department with hard copies of 30,000 emails from her personal email account, which her attorneys got from the 3rd server. Now, her her counsel claimed that some of those were work-related. Around the same time, Clinton decided she no longer wished to retain emails on her server that were older than 60 days. And so I guess they used a program called BleachBit to wipe the emails from the laptop. No charges. Congress sent a preservation order to Secretary Clinton. The attorneys advised the vendor of the order, but the technician told the FBI, we didn't preserve anything. Despite the intervening issuance of the preservation order, he had an oh crap moment and he wiped the emails from the third server. Oops. He said, oh no, I just pressed the wrong button. Don't you hate when that happens? By using BleachBit, a program designed to shred the files and prevent the recovery, they permanently removed about 31,000 emails from the server, just destroyed it. Now, during the investigation that followed, the FBI, with the assistance of the USIC and the intelligence agencies, they identified 81 email chains containing 193 individual emails that were classified as confidential or top secret. So did Hillary get charged with 193 crimes like Trump did? 81 email chains, no charges. During the summer and through consultation with the AG, a team of DOJ prosecutors, who was also helping in this case, decided not to charge. Okay, this guy, George Toscas, investigated Hillary, said we're not charging her. This dude's working on this case, saying we're charging Trump. No one got charged with crimes. They used private emails, classified information. They did it regularly. They deleted classified information from official State Department records, and they obstructed the congressional inquiry. All the things that they're claiming Trump did. James Comey, same deal. He wrote between January and April 2017, he wrote 7 emails or memoranda that he claimed memorialized interactions with Trump. Now, the FBI later determined that 4 of those documents contained information that was classified at secret and top secret levels, but he wrote one of those on his personal computer. Now, Trump removed Comey from his position, and then Comey subsequently used a personal scanner and a personal email account. Okay, he's fired. He's like, I'm not using my FBI stuff anymore. So he used personal email and a personal scanner to send 2 of the classified memos to his personal lawyers. On May 12th, the FBI agents went to his residence to inventory and retrieve all FBI property. Comey did not tell the FBI that he had copies of the memos, including the 2 classified documents in his personal safe. That's obstruction, James Comey. So they didn't preserve those documents. An FBI whistleblower provided the memo to the DOJ. Now, on June 7th, when FBI informed Comey of its classification decisions, he provided the FBI agent who came to his home with signed originals of the 4 memos that he had retained, including 2 classified documents. But he never told them he used his private scanner or a private email to transmit the same 4 memo. And so all of those documents were still there. They learned of that conduct through another witness. So he's like, here's all my files. He gave him the 2 originals, right? But he has a bunch of copies. They're saying Trump did the same thing. Trump gave some papers and then he kept some others, some originals, criminal charges. No charges for Comey. Remember General Petraeus? Remember him? Former CIA director in 2015 was permitted to plead guilty to a misdemeanor violation. He handled 8 notebooks that contained classified information about war strategy and other things. He personally retained the notebooks rather than turning them over to the DOD, and later maintained the materials at his private residence. It contained highly classified materials. It contained code word information, and he allowed the biographer to access all of that stuff. FBI came in, they seized everything. He pled guilty to a misdemeanor. He got 2 years probation. Remember Sandy Berger, the dude who stuffed the documents in his pants? Notable thefts. Berger stole 5 classified presidential records from NARA related to 9/11. Like stole. He concealed the records at an office. He cut 3 of the documents into small pieces and discarded them. When NARA confronted Sandy Berger, he initially did not tell them that he took the documents. He took a misdemeanor plea, 2 years probation. And so the list goes on. Deborah Birx, remember her? She was also one of the doctors. Apparently she had some classified documents and nobody did anything. Okay, so great examples there. And they give us some case law and they explain how this works. They say, despite decades of similar conduct, okay, all of those people, no former president has been charged with crimes like Jack is bringing here. Dozens of public officials have faced allegations related to this type of stuff without being charged with the types of felonies alleged here. This record adequately demonstrates their improper prosecutorial motives, driven in an unprecedented fashion by a sitting president to go after and attack his opponent. And so Jack Smith's office should be required to produce the relevant discovery and hold a hearing, and then, Your Honor, you should dismiss this indictment. There is ample evidence that this case has been brought to attack Trump's candidacy. They tell us the record contains much more than some evidence on this. In April 2022, Biden leaked to the Times that Trump should be prosecuted. And then guess what? He was. Less than 4 months later, the DOJ raided him, with the FBI to raid him, with Toscas, the same official who helped oversee the non-prosecution of Hillary. So that dude says Hillary was exonerated, but Trump gets prosecuted. After Biden's subordinates had started to gather the classified documents from Penn Biden, Biden endorsed the raid. He is cleaning up his documents, wanting his opponent to get raided. Now, Biden declared just days before Trump's announcement, he said, we're going to make sure that Trump will never take power. And so without question, it's clear that this is biased. In February, redacted person 53 told the FBI that it is not uncommon for NARA to receive materials over time from senior officials after the fact. It's common for the documents to start making their way back in. Biden's documents were spread out all over the place. Residences, garages, private offices, locked in a garage with his Corvette. We know that Biden acted willfully. There's evidence, according to Mr. Hur, that he acted willfully to do all of this, but there will be no charges for him, Your Honor. This is outrageous. Hillary Clinton led the State Department. She used a private email. No charges. Bill Clinton, he may still have the documents. He may still literally have the tapes in his residence right now. Bill Clinton still has them, but guess what? No charges. James Comey, the same thing. He disseminated classified information to private parties about meetings with President Trump. No charges. He still maintained classified records, and also unproven obstruction allegations by Jack Smith's office cannot save the prosecution. They always default back to that. Well, it's just obstruction, Rob. He should have just given the documents back when asked. How about Hillary? They deleted 31,000 emails. They literally destroyed email. Congress sent them a preservation order. They just flushed it down the toilet. Comey hid from the FBI. He had a private scanner. Berger stole the documents, tore them up into small pieces. And so collectively, Judge Cannon, this history of non-prosecution and leniency for similarly situated individuals strongly supports Trump's motion. This is intolerable. This is unconstitutional. This is selective. This is vindictive. And so discovery and a hearing are necessary to meet through all this. So for the foregoing reasons, we ask that you order, Judge Cannon, the necessary discovery and a hearing. And then when we're done with that, you'll see, you'll need to dismiss this case. And so big motion there. Judge Cannon, after getting that motion and after learning a little bit more about the shuffling of the documents and other things that are happening in this case, she has decided to vacate the trial. And this caused a lot of waves amongst the crying MSNBCers. She says, all right, well, here's the deal. We're going to be resetting some deadlines on this thing. Here's the date. We have a sealed hearing on grand jury matters. That was telephonic today, the date of this recording. May 20th, when we were supposed to be in trial. No, we're going to have pending and seal requests hearing. Then we're coming back and we're going to have another hearing on the motion that we just read, or at least a related motion. That one's from Walt Nada. So Jack's going to have to come in here and defend himself and say, no, I'm not vindictive. No, this is not selective. He's going to hate that. Then Jack's going to have to come back out and explain why his pleading is sufficient on May 22nd. They're going to talk about it the same day. Jack Smith has some reports that are due on May 31st, disclosures due in June, notice in June, a non-evidentiary hearing based on Jack Smith. Oh, we're excited about this one. Remember, Jack Smith is unlawfully appointed. He is not appointed by the Senate, appointed by the president, or confirmed by the Senate. He's not a real U.S. attorney at all. He's not a real boy. Unlawful appointment and the funding of Jack Smith, that's in June. Partial evidentiary hearing on the motions to compel the discovery. Remember, they want everything from all of the other agencies, Secret Service and their text messages, Homeland Security investigations and their materials. And they said, Jack Smith says, you don't need any of that. So we're back in June. July, we come back for expert disclosures, reciprocal discovery deadlines in July, status conference at the end of July, and then a supplemental hearing, same date. So my goodness, we're already into July. Now, the court also determines that the finalization of a trial date at this juncture, before a resolution of the myriad and the interconnected pretrial and SIPA issues that we just looked at, it would be imprudent and it would be inconsistent with this court's duty to fully and fairly consider the various pending pretrial motions and issue the preparations and complete the things we need to do before this case goes to a jury. And so therefore, Jack Smith blown out here. The court therefore vacates the current May 20th trial date. Blown out of the water. An associated calendar call gone to be reset by separate order later, following a resolution of everything we looked at, consistent with Trump's rights and due process rights and the public's interest, that's us, in a fair and efficient administration of justice. Now, in reaching this decision, I've looked at everything. I've also reviewed the procedural posture, the 8 substantive pretrial motions, 2 of which have still not been publicly docketed because of sealing requests and redaction requests, extensive defense motions to compel the discovery on a host of issues, and many others. And so upon the review, the court finds the ends of justice is served by this postponement, by this continuance. And that is my order. Judge Eileen Cannon submitting this to us May 7th, 2024. So interesting. You can see these deadlines, man. Doesn't look like this trial's going. Lefties not happy about this. And you can see what they sound like on CNN. Here was Jake Tapper. This clip courtesy of Charlie Kirk, says they're having a little bit of a rough time having to deal with this because this is where all their eggs were.
A delay. But also we should note special counsel Jack Smith really has voiced some serious concerns, if not animus, toward this judge.
Yeah, absolutely. And there may come a time when he tries to get her removed from the case. But at this point, that's premature. What Jack Smith knows tonight, though, is that it's very possible that he may not be able to bring either one of his federal cases against former President Trump before the election. And the election is a significant point on the calendar because if Trump is reelected, he can have Jack Smith and both of his cases dismissed. Now, here, this case, the classified documents case, postponed indefinitely. But the other prosecution that Smith has brought, the January 6th case, also on ice while the Supreme Court contemplates if Trump has presidential immunity. Now, in their arguments a couple weeks ago, they signaled that they're not likely to toss that case out, but they might toss it back down to trial court for more litigation, which again, that's why it would make it impossible to bring before the November election. Obviously, we're here in Manhattan for this criminal case. The other one outstanding is the RICO case down in Georgia. But again, it goes back to the strategy of delay. By trying to have Fani Willis and Nathan Wade removed from the case, they successfully likely pushed that until late in this year. And it's very difficult, again, if Trump is reelected, to put him on trial down there. So this long game that they've been playing to try to delay everything overall has been successful. The one case that is going forward is what was always considered kind of the runt of the litter, the least consequential of the four. But it is still a historic case. The first prosecution of the former...
All right, Jake, get some Kleenex, get some tissues for your little eyeballs here. Look at his little face. Hey, stop saying that Trump is the one delaying this, okay? Jack Smith had been investigating this for years. Why did he bring his cases so late so that they all got piled up for trials in 2024? That was intentional. He didn't have to wait so long for all this, but he did. And it's about due process. Clearly, Trump has the right to investigate and defend himself, or at least that's how it used to be in America, as a defendant. And it's appropriate to give him time to read, 13 million pages of material. He was the president. Does he have presidential immunity? These are logical, legal questions of first impression. This has never been done before. So for all these people to frame this as though Trump is trying to delay, this is called due process. They just want a court with none of that so they can convict everyone like they're a star chamber and everybody can just walk right in and Jake Tapper can be the judge. So very upset about that. Of course, great news for Trump. Looks like 3 of the 4 of these things are not going. And as we talked about on our members only stream at watchingthewatchers.locals.com when we streamed today this morning, the Fani case has been accepted on appeal. So the likelihood that that goes before this 2024 election is basically nil. Here is Alina Habba, who's going to come in here and explain.
At a minimum, it slows it down, right? In Fulton County, just like everything else. Well, not everything, but most cases have it.
Just like most cases, yes.
Okay, so in Florida now, the documents case.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about when this judge may hold the first hearing, or do you even see that in the forecast?
Well, Judge Cannon reserved and did not give another date, but she said there is a tremendous amount of pretrial. There's other issues that have to be handled first. One, mainly, let's not forget that what just came out here. We have found out that Jack Smith has his hand in the cookie jar. He was intentionally taking evidence, not telling the court that he had basically taken classified document covers, put him on the wrong documents because they were sloppy. And then what they did was put it in a footnote. They didn't think, when you put it in a footnote as a lawyer, that's, hey, I don't really want to highlight this, but it's in a footnote. And the people read it. We caught on. Obviously, our team is strong there, and they're looking at this closely. And Judge Cannon said, hold on, we got a lot of other things to do before you even try and pressure me, like you pressured many other judges, into having these rush trials before the November election. So I like to see when a judge does the right thing. I like to see even in Georgia when the appellate division is taking up issues that need to be taken up. In New York, when the appellate division takes up issues that it needs to take up in a timely fashion. That's the kind of law and order that we need to see more of in this country.
You're right about that, Alina. You're right. That is the kind of law and order we need, man. She has the best legal analysis, doesn't she? Just brilliant legal analysis. So, my friends, of course, we're going to be here continuing to cover this vindictive and selective prosecution. We got a bunch of deadlines that are scheduled out here in the Florida case. And so thanks for joining us on our journey as we go through them all together as we cover this litigation. But we'll be here continuing to cover it, my friends. Thank you for joining us as we do. We'd love it if you subscribed, liked our channel, liked this video, and invited a friend or family member to come over here and join us when we go live. We also have a great members only community over at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We talk about other stuff that we can't squeeze into here on these streams. We'd love to have you join us, and we'll see you over there and back here on the next one.